So this will be a quick review of the FlySky GT3C. So there's two models that look similar to this. This one you'll see ends in letter C. The other one is B. B as in boy. And the only difference between the two is there's a couple button differences as far as the design, but the main difference is in the battery tray. So here the C version, which costs about $15 more than the other one, uses a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that does come with the unit itself. So I do recommend this one as it saves you from having to replace 8 AA batteries every time you need to replace more batteries for this transmitter. And so lithium-ion battery does last quite a while. I don't find myself having to recharge this very often. So the beauty of this is that it actually has memory for 10 models. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. Oh, by the way, if you're looking at the cool orange one, some of the earlier models reported where the button was sticky, and that batch had some issues with it. So even though I did like the orange, I went with this just because this one isn't known to have a faulty power button. So go for this one. The green one seems pretty cool too, but the green one I'm not able to find. This transmitter is actually about 10 years old. I haven't had it for 10 years, but as far as this model being released by FlySky, it's been 10 years. So it's pretty cool. It looks very modern for having been a 10-year-old transmitter. So let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and turn on the unit here. And it does have a backlit screen. And we won't go over all the different features. We'll go over kind of a summary of what they do. But as far as the how-to, FlySky actually has a really good video on how to do that. So here you can scroll and you can see that actually this has 3.9 volts. And that's how much battery is in the unit itself. So it's a quick way to kind of see what's in there as far as the battery charge is concerned. And so you can go to model here and you can scroll through, and you can scroll through the different models. So right now I have one for the Ravage, one for the WL Toys 144001, and then and one for the HPI, which is an old RC car of mine. So you can actually store 10 models in here, which is pretty cool. You can change the name, obviously, of what the letters show up as. You only get 3 digits. This one is if the servo, for some reason, you connected it and it's left is turning right and right is turning left, then you can just go to this and you can adjust normal versus reverse. The endpoint basically changes the end, as it says, the endpoint of how far left and how far right the steering goes. And you can do that individually with this endpoint. With the trim, this is obviously trimming to make your RC car go straight. And the great thing is they also have these buttons to do it rather than going through the menu, because while you're actually using the RC car, it's probably easier to use physical buttons versus going through the menu and trying to figure out what to do and then redoing it. So here we have dual rate as well, which is another function. And dual rate allows you to change the endpoints of both left and right in a single switch. The Expo allows you to basically change how sensitive the turning or the throttle is. So if you find yourself kind of fidgety or the RC car is kind of snapping left to right when you're actually trying to go straight, then you're going to decrease Expo. And I have Expo here at, actually this is channel 3, it's not usable right now. The ABS function here, basically it acts sort of as an ABS like you would have on your normal car, but RC cars don't have any sort of sensor to know when it's slipping. So what ABS does is there's different settings where as you're braking, you're pushing this forward. At certain intervals, it'll start to pulsate the brake. And so that's what that does. So you can have it pulsate aggressively, you can have it pulsate not as aggressively, and that's what the setting is for. And so I do like how the antenna is integrated into it, so it folds away and just fits in your bag really easily. As far as the size is concerned, we're going to go over some of the other transmitters just so you have an idea on size. So here is the HBX 16889 transmitter. And then here we have the WL Toys 144001 transmitter. So they're about the same size. And then here we have the tiny high-boxing Hailstorm or Rampage transmitter. This is more for little kid hands. And this here we have the WL Toys A202 transmitter. And so that's fairly large. So actually, when I saw in the pictures, I thought that this GT3C would be a lot bigger than it actually is when it came in the mail. So it's actually a good size. It fits well in bags, it fits well in the hand. There's a decent amount of space in case your fingers are a little bit bigger. And for, I guess, palm shapes or hand sizes, FlySky does come with different grips. So you can replace this entire grip with the new one that comes with it. So cool thing about this transmitter as well is also the fact that it has channel 3 here. Let me see if you can see in the light. There we go. Channel 3, you can turn it on and off. And that's if you want to hook up lights or something to your RC car through the receiver. And then you can also adjust the trim for channel 3 if you want to use that for something. And also over here we have the dual rate that you can adjust on the fly without having to go through the menu. So people do hack these to get larger or more extended range. And that involves opening this apart and kind of soldering things, the chip in there and hooking up to your computer and all that. So that's a little bit beyond me, so I haven't really explored that. But the range for it is pretty good. I do like it for what I use it for, and I use this for 3 different RC cars, and things are going well so far. So if you're considering buying the FlySky GT3C or the B, you're probably looking to bind them with multiple models of your RC car. And so one thing important to note is the receiver and the cost of this. So the cost of the receivers are about $7 to $10. You can find them on sale for a little bit cheaper sometimes, but that's a great deal as far as the receiver is concerned. So this one's obviously broken. I just kind of bashed too many things and the antenna got a little chopped off there. You probably can't tell on camera, but this silver part actually has a little blue tint to it. And that indicates that this is the waterproof version. I have not tested that. There are other versions that in person you'll see is a little bit more silver, and that version is not waterproof. And the cost of them are roughly the same. So another thing, it also includes this jumper. Another thing that you'll probably be considering when you're looking at buying a transmitter, or considering this one in particular, is you may have gone through and researched and come across something called the Dumbo RC. So the Dumbo RC transmitter is known to have extensive range. So probably something beyond this. So if you're looking for huge range with possibly FPVing your RC car, you may want to go with the Dumbo RC version. Dumbo RC also does have fairly low priced receivers. So that's another benefit of the Dumbo RC. Dumbo RC price is roughly the same. This one was $45. The GT3B is about $35-ish. Ultimately, what made me decide to get this GT3C over the Dumbo RC is not only the looks of it and having the display, but also the fact that it holds 10 models. The Dumbo RC, you do get the extended range, but you can't hold more than 1 model in that transmitter. Another benefit of that one is that you can buy a receiver that has a gyro for the Dumbo RC. Whereas this one, there is a version that has a gyro, but I tested it and it doesn't work. So I don't think it works in kind of the same fashion or isn't as easy to set up as the Dumbo RC. So if you're comparing the two, that's what I would do. If you want multiple models, pick this one. If you need extended range, not that this one is poor, but if you need super extended range, then Dumbo RC one would be the one to get. Again, the receivers are quite cheap at between $7 and $10 a piece. Things have gone well with this. I do plan to bind more RC cars with this so that I can just have a single unit to use. So who's this transmitter for and who's it not for? So note the design, it does have a drop-down steering wheel. So using one hand is not that convenient compared to ones that hug closer to the transmitter itself. So this really is meant for a two-handed operation. Another thing about, well, the reason why I purchased this myself is because I was reviving an old RC car. It happened to be an HPI branded vehicle from probably 20 years ago. And so I wanted a kind of newer, up-to-date transmitter. And it was cool that I did fall in love with having display and all these different settings and ability to change the different aspects of it, which I never had functionality or even looked into when I was playing about 15, 20 years ago. So this model does allow you to bind it with multiple models. Again, it can bind up to 10 of them. And at first I was thinking I could bind this to basically all the vehicles. But I realized I do have some budget vehicles that I do want to have the kids play with and let them share with their friends eventually at some point. And I would feel a little bit concerned about handing them this $45 transmitter. I know $45 might not seem a lot to some of the people who are really into this stuff and they have $250 transmitters. But for me, $45 is quite a bit compared to the other stuff I'm really used to. So another reason why I don't want to bind all the RC cars to this is if multiple people want to play at one time. So if multiple people are playing with RC cars at one time, you're obviously going to each need a separate transmitter. So this one will be probably bound to about 5 vehicles or maybe just one more for the meantime. But it is nice that when I'm using this on my own or we're just taking turns playing with it, that I just bring one transmitter and I can bring a series of cars without having to worry about batteries and just storing a bunch of transmitters. So in that sense, it's worked out really well for me and I have no regrets and I really like this and I'm glad I bought it. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I will get back to you as soon as I can.